A Korean traditional pavilion in Berlin. Students of Korean language classes increase sixfold in Auckland. Canadian blogger rides the Korean wave with Soju Wave. Paris Sewer Museum. Little Giant Lee Tae-yong and the London Institute of Martial Arts. Hello, welcome to Going Global. I'm your host, Jung Se-min. A lot of you might have had a busy beginning of the year, but the world trend is actually the opposite. There is a sense of slowing down all over the world. When ebooks first made their appearance, experts predicted that paper books would soon go extinct. However, paper books are still very much in circulation today. In fact, in the United States, sales of used books are rising, and this trend is attributed to large-scale bookstores creating used book sections. Large corporations are also jumping into the used book business. In Korea, stores for used books are becoming a new trend as well. In a way, you could call it a revival of the brick-and-mortar bookstore, but in a different form. So how about checking out a bookstore near you? You will find more than just books there. Now, let's start with our first story of the day. Germany knows what it's like to be a divided country, just like Korea. A Korean traditional pavilion symbolizing hopes for Korean reunification has been built in Berlin's Potsdam Square, which was bisected by the Berlin Wall before its fall and the eventual reunification of Germany 26 years ago. Let's find out more.
This is Potsdam Square in downtown Berlin, Germany. At the center stands a Korean traditional pavilion. The pavilion, modeled after the Sangyeongjong in Changdeokgung Palace, is called 통일정, built in the hopes of Korean reunification.
저희 통일정자가 우리 한국인의 통일 열망을 독일인들에게 알리고 또 독일인들에게 우리 통일에 대한 지지를 얻는 그런 좋은 계기가 될 것이라고 생각하고.
About 20 million tourists visit Potsdam Square every year. In the past, it was bisected by the Berlin Wall. 통일정 Pavilion was erected where the Berlin Wall used to stand. The pavilion's establishment in 2015 coincided with Germany's 25th anniversary of reunification.
Man kann der Republik Korea nur gratulieren, dass sie hier am Potsdamer Platz inmitten Berlins diesen wunderbaren Pavillon der Einheit errichtet.
The city of Berlin, which witnessed Germany's division and reunification, has provided the site for free.
Also ich kann Korea nur gratulieren und Berlin natürlich auch, dass sie den Pavillon der Einheit errichtet haben am historischen Platz, also da, wo eine Stadt ja über viele, viele Jahre getrennt war. Und das, was ja das koreanische Volk heute noch erleidet, und damit ein Signal zu setzen für die Einheit.
Local residents of Berlin were also present to congratulate the completion of the pavilion. Korean expatriates couldn't hide their happiness.
독일에 살면서 저희가 이렇게 통일정자를 세우게 된 거에 대해서 너무 기쁘고 특히 하루빨리 독일처럼 우리 한국도 통일이 되기를 바라는 소원입니다.
통일정 Pavilion will not only relay Korea's hopes for reunification to visitors from all over the world, but also host various Korean cultural programs.
Now let's move on to our next story. New Zealand is one of the many countries that have been swept by the Korean wave. A growing interest in Korea has led to more people wishing to learn Korean. In fact, the number of elementary school students learning Korean in New Zealand has increased sixfold over the past 3 years. Let's find out more about this growing interest in the Korean language in New Zealand.
This is a school in New Zealand. A Korean language quiz is underway here. This is the first competition of its kind here, targeting not only Korean expatriates but local residents. Originally, it planned to accept 50 participants, but due to an overwhelming number of applicants, they accepted 80.
I feel really happy that I won and proud of myself. I plan to continue learning Korean until I become fluent in it.
The soaring interest in Korea can be attributed to the Korean wave. Also, the New Zealand government has strengthened second language education at school, further boosting interest in the Korean language. In 2012, only 185 students in all of New Zealand's elementary schools were learning Korean, but that figure has jumped to 1,100 students in 20 schools.
I would like to carry this through high school because I think it's a very, I've learned so much at the school that it's not worth just dropping it after you leave. It's worth going back and doing it again, and learning better and better.
Teachers are also surprised by the students' passion.
한국어 단어나 아니면은 이제 대화법을 굉장히 많이 관심을 가지고 있어요. 그래서 중간중간에 손을 들고 막 물어보기도 하고 이거 어떻게 얘기해요? 저거 어떻게 얘기해요라고 질문하는 친구들이 있어서 수업할 때마다 이제 좀 깜짝깜짝 놀랍니다.
The Korean government also provides various forms of support, including subsidies for teachers to fuel their interest in Korea.
Our next story takes us to Canada. There is a Canadian whose favorite alcoholic drink is Korea's soju. He even runs a blog titled Soju Wave. Let's find out more.
This is a Korean restaurant in Toronto, Canada. Canadian Dion Sunga is grilling meat as expertly as any Korean. Sunga, an IT expert, runs a blog about Korean food and culture, and he has invited his friends to his favorite Korean restaurant. His blog is called Soju Wave. It's a combination of Korean liquor soju and the Korean wave.
Well, I like soju because in Korea it's very cheap, and with your friends it's different than beer or other types of liquor because you have to share with others and there's a whole tradition or...
Sunga moved to Korea in 2010 and lived there for 2 years.
There's that sense of respect, and I feel like just everyone is together as one and they just understand.
He created Soju Wave in order to chronicle his experiences in Korea.
I made my blog because I wanted to keep in touch with the Korean culture and then just make sure I don't lose that information, and I also wanted to practice Korean, so sometimes when I go out I want to just make sure I go to those Korean restaurants. And
Soju Wave features stories about Korean cuisine, movies, drama, music, and performances. About 800 visitors visit the blog every day. Toronto's Korean Association even asked Sunga to review Korean restaurants and Korean events.
그 관심을 갖지 않는 이세들도 많은데도 캐네디언이 우리 한인 한국에 대한 문화와 한국에 대한 음식에 관심을 갖는 것 자체가 너무너무 좋죠. 우리 넥스트 제너레이션이 디언을 통해서 좀 더 배우고 좀 더 같이 일을 할 수 있는 기회가 됐으면 좋겠다고 생각했습니다.
Korean culture, which might be foreign even to second-generation Koreans in Canada, is spreading in Canada through Dion Sunga.
Moving on to our next story. Have you ever imagined an underground museum? There is actually an underground museum in Paris, and a very famous one too. Let's take a look around.
Here in Paris, home of the Eiffel Tower, there is a must-visit destination across from the City Hall. For a museum, it appears to be rather insignificant, only hosting a small ticket box and a narrow stairway to the entrance. Following the stairway leads to Paris's sewer system and the Paris Sewer Museum.
Donc le musée des égouts, en fait, ça existe depuis le début. Dès le début de la construction, l'ingénieur qui a conçu ce réseau a été confronté à la demande de visiter les sous-sols.
Paris's sewer system is extensive and made of stone, setting a strong foundation. These pipes are for drainage, electric wires, and gas. Paris has no utility poles above ground, so all telecommunication lines are coated with insulating material and wired underground along the sewer system.
Writing all around really explains it, so it makes it interesting because you know what's going on. Yeah.
It's worth it to come.
Oh, definitely worth it, yes.
There are street signs along the sewer paths corresponding to the streets above ground so that visitors don't get lost. Sewage flows underneath where we stand. Visitors can learn about how the sewage is processed as well as the history and structure of Paris's sewer system.
It's water, and I took care of all the wastewater, so what happens after you're done using the water and where it goes and how it gets treated, and yeah, just thought it was very interesting because Paris is such a big city.
More than anything else, this place is famous for being the setting for Victor Hugo's Les Miserables. Protagonist Jean Valjean fled with the injured Marius to the sewers. The details of the sewers are so intricate that they can almost be used as historical evidence. Since then, Paris's sewers have become famous as the world's best system of its kind that is still in use.
La visite des égouts, comme le roman a été traduit dans toutes les langues, il est normal que les touristes du monde entier veulent voir les égouts de Paris.
The sewers of Paris make up another city underground. For those who wish to experience the whole of Paris or visit an unconventional museum, be sure to stop by.
Our last story takes us to the United Kingdom. Did you know that there is a higher learning institute in the United Kingdom that teaches Korean martial arts? Many people thought it would be impossible, but one man's efforts have made this institute come to life. He is the martial arts expert Lee Tae-yong. Let's learn a bit more about him now.
This man is shouting with all his might. People watching him turn around and shout as well. This is part of a training to increase their core strength, the foundation of Korean martial arts. He is Lee Tae-yong, a small giant who is teaching martial arts to the British. He is the principal of the school, the London Institute of Martial Arts. Yi was a former member of a Special Forces unit and ran a Special Forces Martial Arts Training Center in Korea before emigrating to England in 2005. At that time, the children of only the wealthy minority practiced martial arts as a hobby.
영국에는 이렇게 저희처럼 상설 도장이 하나도 길에 눈에 띄질 않아가지고 영국에서 이렇게 상설 체육관을 한국식으로 한국에 있는 태권도 도장이라든가 이런 학기도 도장처럼 상설 도장을 하면 상당히 비전이 있겠다.
He started by opening a small gym. Then one day, a man who was afflicted with a stroke came to Yi's gym to learn martial arts. The man turned out to be a professor hailing from an upper-class family. His symptoms disappeared after 3 years of martial arts practice with Yi, and his story was featured on a local newspaper under the title Stroke Rehabilitation Through Martial Arts. After that, Yi got to meet officials from British universities, and during the meeting, he explained the history and philosophy of martial arts and asked that martial arts be recognized as a legitimate university course. Yi will never forget the day in September 2012 when he received authorization from the British government to establish the London Institute of Martial Arts as an educational charity.
울었습니다. 제가 많이 울었고 제가 지금 40년을 넘게 살았는데 제가 평생 했었던 일이 이렇게 결실을 맺으니까 너무나 즐겁고 또 즐거운 나머지 눈물이 흐르고 또 제 제자들한테 자랑스럽고.
The London Institute of Martial Arts joined hands with the prestigious University of Derby and received authorization for a joint martial arts research institution. Earning a degree from the institute will also bestow a bachelor's degree from the University of Derby. People with dreams of becoming martial arts coaches, rehabilitation physicians, or physical education teachers are learning about the Korean martial arts in both schools.
I grew up watching movies, fighting scenes and all of that, and since I started learning 9 years ago, I just loved everything about it. I just wanted to carry on doing it.
Training to be like a stuntman in the future, and then I also want to maybe go into fight choreographing for films.
A growing number of children are taking up martial arts, which train both the body and the mind. Korean martial arts are becoming mainstream in the UK, which is just what Yi envisioned.
Statistics prove to us now that in the last 3 years, martial arts is the largest organized activity of physical education and physical clubs support in the whole United Kingdom.
Yi is called Master Lee by his students, signifying his status as a little giant. His dream is to spread Korean martial arts not just across England, but across Europe.
한국 문화와 한국 무술로 이제 다져진 진정한 무술 사범들이 영국 시장 속에서 영국 시장으로 나아갈 수 있도록 하는 게 제 꿈이고, 제 후배들은 조금 더 쉽게 해외로 진출할 수 있는 제가 디딤돌이 될 수 있다면 제가 최선을 다해서 노력해 보겠습니다.
I hope you enjoyed today's stories on Going Global. What are some of your plans and resolutions for the new year? Many people may have set plans for a trip overseas with their loved ones. Well, some time ago, John Beaton from the United Kingdom succeeded in rowing solo across the Pacific Ocean non-stop for 209 days. He is the first person to row across the Pacific Ocean with no stopovers. His underestimation of the voyage, coupled with bad weather, added 1 month to his quest, and Beaton rowed for 15 hours per day on average. Traveling is said to help you discover yourself. So how about planning a trip, though maybe not as solitary as Beaton's, to put in some time just for yourself? Going Global will be back next week with more exciting and interesting stories from all around the world. Thank you for watching.